All right, Mr. Gamache here to show you my thinking so it can help your thinking. We are going through one variable data question from the fourth edition of these Barron cards. It's question 19 in one variable data. And by request, I wanted to go over this. So I have to go over which is a true statement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and start narrowing down my choices. It says stem plots are equally or are useful for both quantitative and categorical data sets. Now remember, stem plot looks usually something like this, where you got your tens place down here. Maybe it's your hundreds place, depends on your data. And then you have your leaves here, which represent every individual piece of data. So I'm just making some data up so I have something to look at. And then maybe I have a 0 here, and then maybe I have a 5 here. Just making it up. Now, can I use this for categorical data? Not exactly, because it's always representing numerical values. I can't have a stem plot that says red, blue, green, and then have numbers next to it. I can't have categories be my stems. So immediately, I know that this isn't true. It says stem plots are equally useful for small and large data sets. Well, let's see. I have a pretty, I guess this isn't the biggest data set here, but it's fairly large. Now, if I only had 2 pieces of data, might be pretty easy to read. So I'm going to take care of that. I'm going to just get rid of that. All right. Gives me a very clear picture of my data. I have 30 and a 45. Now, the bigger it gets, you're going to notice that sometimes you tend to drown in information here. So maybe I'm just going to start adding more stuff here. 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 9. Now that I'm looking at it, I can still get an idea of what the skew looks like. I mean, one thing I love about stem plots is that I can flip it over. I got myself a nice little histogram with ranges of 10. So I can definitely see skew when I do this, which is pretty cool. I can see kind of like where my data bunches up. But if I'm getting a really large data set, I'm going to have a harder time trying to find things like median and maybe my range. It's because I've got so much data to look at. So once it gets really large, it becomes a little less useful to me. So I'm going to cross this one out. Now, I'm going to jump around a little bit. I'm going to go to E. It says whether or not to provide a key depends on the relative importance of the data being displayed. That's not true. I should always have a key. In my case, I should have done one here. So I'll just do 1, 2 equals 12. But yeah, I should always have a key. Stems should be skipped only if there is no data for a particular stem. Ooh, I like this because let's see. You'll notice that I have data for my 10s place, my 20s place, 30s, 40s. I don't have anywhere 0s in the 1s place because for my data set in particular, maybe I didn't have any values that fell in there. Say I extended it a bit here. Say 50s, 60s. Maybe I didn't have any 50s, but I had some 60s in my data. Like, let's say, 63, I had a couple 63s. You'll notice I'm skipping over the leaves here, but it says the stem. It says should only be skipped. I'm not skipping that stem, so I'm going to get rid of this statement too. Which leaves me with C. It says stem plots can show symmetry, gaps, clusters, and outliers. Here's why I'm going to go with C, because as I pointed out, I love the fact that it almost resembles a histogram when I flip it over. So say I wanted to keep going with my data here. No 70s, no 80s, no 90s. But say I got maybe 108 was a data point. Now if I flip this over as a histogram, right? I got myself a nice, I can see this being an outlier. That 108 is pretty obvious. I can see gaps in my data. I can also see clusters in my data. I can see that I have a lot of data in my 10s and my 20s. I can even see that, I have modes here. It would probably be 26, which I'm pointing out right here, 26. Maybe I have modes of, let's see, oh, no, not 26, but 29 too, 26 and 29. So I can see a lot of this stuff. I can see symmetry. Like if I can show skew. If it was unimodal or bimodal, I could put a line right down the middle here. So I can see those things, which is pretty cool. So my answer here is C. Again, the reason I like this is because, as I said, with stem plots, all you got to do is rotate it. You got yourself a nice little histogram with ranges of 10, which is why I can see those symmetry, gaps, clusters, and outliers that I like so much. Hopefully this helps you when you're answering a question like this regarding stem plots, and maybe helps you use stem plots in your future.